What's up, guys? King Crisis here. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. Welcome to part 2 on what a deku had a cell quirk. Bruh, before I get started, this video did way better than I was expecting. Honestly, like, it did way better than I was expecting. And since it did better, originally this was going to be the finale. It was going to be the final part. Yeah, I'm not doing that. No, this is going to be a whole series now. Like, I have to. I absolutely have to make this a series. Like, if it's not a series, then bro, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, it has to be a series now. Like, this hits completely different. Like, everyone enjoyed the video, and it's been such a while since everyone has enjoyed one of my videos. So yeah, since it's been so long, I mean, why would I dare turn it down? Like, I'll answer that. I'm not. I enjoyed this. I loved this. Therefore, guys, you guys are getting a part 2. You guys are getting a part 3, a part 4, probably. But anyways, we start off where we left off. Deku has just bodied Bakugo, and it was not much of a fight. Deku put Bakugo through a strenuous beatdown, and after this, Deku proceeds to leave. As Deku's leaving, he ends up bumping into Tsuyu. He proceeds to look over at Tsuyu. "Oh, I'm sorry," Deku would say. Tsuyu looks at Deku. She would smile, and then she would say, "It's okay, Zuko." For a moment there, Deku admired her. He noticed just up and down. She's fine, he would think. Body's perfect, he would think to himself. Nice, well-shaped everything, he thinks as he looks her up and down. But he proceeds to lock back in. Which way are you going? Deku would say. She points towards east. Deku has a smile on his face. "I'm going the same way," he would say. As he says this, she proceeds to look up at him and smile. "Oh, well, we'll walk there together then." As Deku proceeds to walk off with her, unknowingly to Deku, they're being followed. And they're being followed by 3 people, actually. The first person that is following them is Inko, because Inko is able to do something stupidly overpowered, guys. Inko's able to control the light particles around them via her telekinesis. And you're probably wondering how. Not many people really understand just how powerful telekinesis truly is. Telekinesis gives you the ability to move things with your mind. Inko has the power to move small things with her mind. But there isn't a limitation on what small things Inko could really move. Light particles are very small things. She simply moves the light particles around her to make the light reflect off of her, therefore causing her to be, wait, no, light reflects off her. You know what? She's invisible. She makes the light never reach her, which means since light never reaches Inko, you can't see Inko, which means Inko is invisible. So Inko moves around quietly, but also following them happens to be Aizawa. Aizawa follows Izuku around because, for one, he's the son of a former pro hero. He has to see the kid's living condition. But Izuku stinks. Okay, simply put, Izuku does not smell the best. So Aizawa watches as Izuku ends up walking Tsuyu home. Tsuyu ends up smiling at Izuku. She then just bluntly tells him, "Izuku, I don't know where you live or how you're living, but..." She goes inside of her house and comes back out with a bar of soap. "Here." She would say, "You stink." And Deku kind of just stands there. Bro freezes, takes in an extreme amount of embarrassment, an extreme amount of, "Damn, she just got on my ass" type of moment. Like, he doesn't know how to react. But he tells her thank you and explains to her that he kind of ran away from his home and he's been living on a beach. It just causes you to look at him. What? And he says that he's been clean. Like, he's clean. Like, he takes baths. Well, he tries to take baths the best of his ability. Like, he would steal buckets of water from people's houses and outside their faucets, but he gets it isn't really enough considering that he's sleeping on literal sand and dust. So Her smiles and says thank you as he proceeds to walk off. Tsuyu looks at him before saying, wait, you're living on the beach? Deku would nod as he then proceeds to point towards a hut. She looks upward at the hut and realizes that it's actually a beautiful ass hut. Like, she looks at it like it's made from plants. It's made out of wood, plants, almost like a amazing tree just spawned in, and it took the form of a tree house. She says, first off, how long has that been there? Deku says it's never been there. He made the tree there. Okay, that explains a lot, she proceeds to say, but then she looks at him and says, come inside. Deku goes inside of Tsuyu's home, and as they do so, she tells Izuku to take a bath. Izuku proceeds to take a bath, and as he's taking a bath, Tsuyu went inside of the bathroom. She grabbed all of Izuku's clothes, took them out, where from there she put down some of her father's clothes. As this happens, Deku walks back out, and as he walks out, after his shower of course, he looks upward towards Tsuyu and says, so, like, where are your parents? Tsuyu goes silent. She explains that her mother and father left. They just up and left one day, when, well, 8 months ago. And Deku says, damn, are you sure they're okay? She says, yeah, they're alive. They constantly post on Facebook how happy they are without us. She says, with just a saddened facial expression, they left me to take care of me and my siblings, she was saying. As Deku turns, he looks towards Tsuyu's siblings. He had a saddened facial expression. Deku then looks forward towards her. I can get you some money, he says. Tsuyu then asks him, how? How could he get her any money? He doesn't have a job. He's living. Deku then would say that he's not broke. Like him, he's not broke. He flashes her a credit card. He explains that he's just simply not old enough, nor is he legal to get his own place. He thought about getting a hotel, but his mother has people everywhere, so likely someone would have found him, he says calmly. But he has more than enough money on here to pay some bills for a few months. Tsuyu looks upward at her, stunned. She doesn't know how to react, how to respond, or even what to say. She's quiet. She starts to cry. She looks at Deku and she says, thank you, Izuku. Deku looks upward at her, smile on his face. He says, no problem, anytime. As from there, Deku will hand her his credit card. He tells her, don't go crazy now. As she's about to walk out, but she will tell him, it's okay, you can lay down on the couch. I mean, it's just me, my little brother, and little sister here, and, well, they're not gonna question anything. Deku turns towards her. Are you sure? She would nod. Deku proceeds to smile as he goes and he lays down on her couch. Next day, Deku ends up waking upwards. She hands Deku his clothing, his school clothing. Realizing that they are now washed, they are clean, and things are now good. A smile is on his face. Thank you, he would say. No problem. Anytime, she would say. With a smile, Deku proceeds to walk out the house. Tsuyu and him ends up walking to school. As they're walking to school, we cut on over towards Aizawa. Izuku stayed the night at Tsuyu's house, he says, talking with the other teachers, but I overheard their conversation. The tree, that little tree that spawned into Dagobah Beach, Izuku created that tree. He's been living there. What? That's disgusting. It may be disgusting, he would say, but it's all the boy has. For some reason, he isn't staying with his mother. We do not know the full information or details, but we know Inko Midoriya is incredibly rich. She inherited all the money from Masashi. Whilst a good majority of that money was put into a spare account for Izuku, she inherited the rest. She inherited his company. She inherited his entire hero business. But Inko Midoriya's quirk isn't really much. I mean, she simply has small-scale telekinesis. Yes, small-scale telekinesis, as I would say. That's all she can do. She can only move objects smaller than a remote. You do realize remotes can vary, right? Okay, the size of a basic TV/game controller remote, he would say. She can't move anything larger than that with her telekinesis. If so, it puts actually an insane deal of strain onto her body. True, as I would say. But she still is a genius. Let us not forget Inko's intelligence. Plus, she can telekinetically control a bunch of knives and pretty much take out anyone by swarming them with enough knives, as I would say. Why are we talking about the boy's mother, and why did you follow him? I had a weird suspicion about the kid's life. I mean, look at him. Did you see the way he smelled the other day? It was awful. So I followed him. I had to make sure my student was okay. Okay, we're gonna ignore the fact that that was extremely creepy of you, Aizawa, but it's whatever. So he stayed at Suyu's home. Yes, he did, as I would say. We're now time skip. With Deku and Suyu making it into class. As Deku and Suyu makes it into class, essentially most of the day will go like a normal school day. You know, as Al comes in, they go outside and they do a few laps around, but nothing really changes this day. Until they come up with the idea of choosing a class representative. Now, I don't know if I made it to this point in the other video. I'm pretty sure I didn't, so I'm gonna cover it now. With them deciding on who should be the class rep, Deku volunteers Suyu. Suyu looks upward towards him confused and she says, "I'm not sure I can do it." Deku looks upward towards her, "But I think you can," he would say. A little smile on his face, "I'm pretty sure you can do an amazing job at something like this," he would say. "I mean, you are already, you know." Suyu would say, "But this is an entire class, that's different." He would say, "Would you rather a control freak like Ida be in charge?" Ida then looks for it. "I'm not a control freak." "No, you're a control freak." Deku says, you're a control freak, and you're like super rulesy, which means that you're gonna take the fun out of pretty much everything, and I'm gonna be honest, I ain't gonna listen to you. If you're gonna just yell and complain the entire time about rules, then I'm not gonna listen. Deku just blankly says. Ida just kind of just stands there, just surprised. The class like, "Izuku, that was kind of rude." Deku then says, no, it was not. It was constructive criticism. Someone had to tell him. Were any of you gonna tell him? The class remained silent. Deku then would say, "Exactly. I said what needed to be said. Everyone was thinking it, just no one had the guts to say it." Bako then would say, I had the guts to say it." Deku then turned, "Yeah, but you weren't gonna say it right. You were gonna turn it into an argument because you don't know how to use constructive criticism. All you know how to do is throw out criticism," Deku would say. "So he wouldn't have listened to you. And I, for damn sure, wouldn't have listened to you." As he says his, Bako would say, "Do you want to go, nerd?" Deku would say, "You remember what happened last time?" He stands up with his eyes flaring up green. You right. Bako proceeds to back up. Deku looks at him. He's pathetic for that one. We're now cutting over towards Deku. Deku is seen waiting. He's waiting in order. Well, he's waiting on everyone else to get on the bus. Yes, we're skipping straight to the USJ. Okay, as they're on the bus and they're talking, Deku begins to talk to Suyu. And he begins to ask her, like, about her frog quirk. And asks her, like, how does it work? She explains how her quirks works. And this causes Deku to start understanding a little bit. He's starting to think like a frog, okay? He's starting to think of a few things. And he's thinking that he may be able to, you know, turn into something similar to her. But he has to test that out first. But then Deku realizes that he can't fully gain Suyu's quirk because at that point it becomes manipulating his DNA and not his cells. Deku can manipulate the cells within his body. He cannot fully manipulate his DNA. Although he can manipulate his cells to copy the cells of other creatures, although DNA is cells, no. He can't fully manipulate said DNA. His DNA will always be the same. Okay? Just had to point that out. I'm gonna be so real. I feel like I'm using his powers as DNA manipulation and not cell manipulation. That's kind of what I feel like. And you know, DNA are cells, so I might just, you know, mix them together or some shit. DNA isn't, I don't know. But time skip. Boop! You see Deku. Deku could be seen waiting. As he's seen waiting on everyone else or anyone else to arrive, eventually they would do. The rest of them arrive, and when they arrive, things will begin. As soon as a test and as all the events will, they make it into USJ. Kirishima runs inside. Whoa, they even have fake villains? Fake villains, Aizawa would say. As he rushes forward, the person says, "These aren't fake. 13, protect the students." Aizawa proceeds to jump down, like he would have in the original timeline. Kurogiri ends up popping up, where he still says the same lines that he said in the original timeline, which leads to Bakugo and Kirishima still trying to attack him. Kurogiri still warps everyone away. And well, they still makes it onto the boats as normal. Deku opens his eyes. He's submerged in water. And Deku quickly begins, like, you know, to drown. Because, you know, he is suddenly teleported in a big ass pit of water. Bro can't breathe for real. Suyu just so happens to also be in this same exact place. Suyu swoops in, grabbing Deku with her tongue and snatching him and Mineta out of the water. Deku quickly sees it as Tsuyu and Mineta who's there. He looks onward as he would say that they gotta get off this boat now. Deku proceeds to look forward as he starts cracking his neck. Tsuyu sees Deku cracks his neck as Deku runs and he jumps off the boat. As soon as he jumps off the boat, Deku zooms into the air in his gigantic eagle form. He looks downward as Tsuyu and Mineta both run and jump onto top of Deku's back. They proceed to hold on to Deku as he flies off. With Deku flying off, he quickly sees Aizawa battling against this creature. Deku would land right before the Nomu, not understanding what this thing is. He looks at it. His eyes are glowing, and the cellular makeup, the cellular build, all the cells within this thing, it isn't human. It isn't even a quirk that he's seeing. What is he seeing? Deku would wonder. As he looks at it, he begins to see something else. It's too many different cells. The cells aren't matching. The cells are incorrect within this creature's body. And it's so many of them. As he looks throughout the cells, he pinpoints something. He pinpoints 3 particular cells that seem to be in the right place, that seems to be natural. He begins to look all throughout his body and begins to find more and more and more natural cells surrounded, and some even being absorbed by these unnatural cells. Deku cracks his neck as he walks forward as he walks forward and snatches Aizawa back. That thing isn't human, he would say. Aizawa, Sensei, are you okay? Shigaraki then would say, you're right, it's not human. It's my Nomu! Deku then looks forward where your Nomu is about to die. Deku says, with just a blank facial expression, I'm shutting that thing down. Deku says, as I would say, it isn't human, Deku. You don't stand a chance, kid. Deku would say, nah, I can take anything down I want with a simple touch. Deku would say, as his eyes begin to glow green, he begins to walk forward. But as Deku's walking forward, he is kicked square across the face. And Deku is sent flying as he just slides across the ground. He then looks upward and sees a woman wearing a skin-tight green suit. She then starts smiling. Izuku Midoriya, it's nice to finally meet you. I guess I'll kill the father and the son, the voice would say. Deku looks upward and he sees this woman. You, Deku would say. He balls up his fist. Immediately claws begin to grow from his hands. Deku runs forward. He immediately goes in and he slashes at her. She would jump backward, dodging Deku's slash. Oh, pathetic. Just say, you're really trying this? You're trying so hard to attack me? I'm a lady. Deku looks at her. You killed my father. You hurt my mother, he would say. Oh, the same mother that has no love for you. The same mother that didn't care for you. The same mother that just left you all alone for most of your life. How do you know that? Deku would say. I kept tabs on you. I wanted to wait till you were older, till you were more powerful. I didn't want to just kill you as you were just a kid. That's too boring. Well, watching your screens would have been a little fun, but no, that would have been too boring. After all, I like to have fun, he would say. My life is ruined because of you. You ruined my mother, and you killed my father. Your mother only valued you when your mother didn't value you. She only valued the money. You were quirkless. She treated you like you were nothing a majority of your life. Well, I'm not quirkless anymore, Deku says, as he proceeds to bulk up in size. She then says, what are you doing? Deku then notices his sudden increase in size. He's confused. He's pretty sure he's already at peak human. The lady looks forward. Nomu, handle the poor boy. As the Nomu rushes forward and goes in to attack Deku, Tsuyu jumps upward, shoots her tongue out, and snatches Deku back. The woman sees it, she slowly turns. Oh, you're protecting him. Oh, that's not gonna go too well in my book, baby. Oh no, honey boo-boo. She proceeds to lift up her hand as Tsuyu freezes, and she proceeds to slam her hand down, and Tsuyu begins to slam her face into the ground. Inko proceeds to lift up her hand as Tsuyu's body begins to float upwards into the air. Deku seeing this as she proceeds to snatch Tsuyu forward as Inko grabs Tsuyu by the face and slams her face into the ground. Tsuyu slowly begins to push up off the ground, but Inko proceeds to kick her. Deku rushes forward and goes in for a punch, which Inko would dodge. She grabs a knife off her side and she proceeds to slash Deku's arm 3 times. Slink, slink, slink. Deku proceeds to just jump back, holding his arm in pain as he proceeds to cause his cells to begin to grow rapidly, which of course heals him. He looks forward towards her. She starts laughing. Oh, boy, like, is that your little girlfriend? Deku then looks towards Suyu. No, she isn't my girlfriend. No. Suyu would say, "Aw, is that your friend, or do you like her?" She would say, "What are you talking about? We basically just met," Deku would think. "Yeah, you just met, yet you stayed at her house." This causes Deku to go quiet. You also checked her out when you first met her, when you guys bumped into each other from school. Deku then looks up at her. "Who the fuck are you? You're watching me every day?" "Yes, of course. I had to monitor the Midoriya family, I want to kill you guys all, but I want to make sure you guys suffer. I want to freak you out a bit. Have a bit of fun," she would say as she begins to smile. Have a lot of fun. She proceeds to wink at Deku. Deku, seeing this, he charges forward and goes in for a punch, which she proceeds to immediately catch as she knees Deku in the stomach and proceeds to elbow him in the face. She then proceeds to point her finger at Deku's face. Deku runs towards her, but he freezes. He proceeds to start screaming in pain as his eyes begin to bleed. Inko started laughing before saying, "Oh, you must not know who I am, or how I was able to take down your mother and father. I can control blood. That's my quirk," she says with a smile. Blood manipulation. As she proceeds to open her hand, as Izuku's blood begins to pour out of his eyes to a much faster degree, and that blood then proceeds to take the form of a small blade. She then proceeds to throw the blade, and the blade shoots forward as it begins to zoom and slice all throughout Deku, causing more and more blood to form. And with each cut, a tremendous amount of blood pour out, and that blood will morph into another blade that begins to do the same, cutting Deku constantly. But with Deku constantly using his cellular manipulation to regrow his cells, he's healing at a fast rate, but it doesn't matter because Inko's just cutting them up more and more and more. As Deku's on the ground, she would walk forward. "You're boring. Nomu, finish him." Then Nomu looks forward. The Nomu charges forward as it goes in for a punch. The punch, on the other hand, was called "Have no fear, 'cause I am here." All Might proceeds to punch the Nomu and he sends it flying. Inko would turn. "Oh, hell no. I ain't fighting your strong ass." Maybe I do something different to your strong ass. I'm trying to see how that feels. Inko proceeds to bite her lips. As All Might turns, "You," he would say. "You monster!" He rushes forward towards Inko and goes in for a punch, but Inko says, No, sweetie, not happening." Inko snaps her fingers, and as soon as she did, a portal would form underneath her. She falls straight through the portal, and All Might's punch was technically dodged. Inko falls back down towards the bar. As she falls back into the bar, she sees All For One sitting down in a chair. "Oh, you're finally out of that little bed." "Yes, that's no point in being in the bed. Why are you shape-shifting your face? We all know how fucked up it is." "Where's your helmet?" "I'm wearing my mask. I don't need the helmet," All For One would say. "Whatever," she would say. "What do you want?" "Shh." "Why are you still acting like Inko Midoriya?" "I mean, I did raise the boy as Inko Midoriya, so he is my son." You say, "But you're not Inko Midoriya," All For One would say. "Boy, I'm Inko Midoriya." "You're possessing Inko Midoriya." "But I'm Inko fucking Midoriya, bitch. The fuck? Don't play with me." "Or yeah, what did you do?" "Well, in my fight against Hasashi, he defeated me. He kicked my ass like God. That man was strong. No wonder this body still craves it," she would say. "But you are aware that I have the capability to possess things, correct?" "I was weak. I was too weak to possess Inko's full power. But I did manage to merge our souls." "You did what?" "I merged our souls. Our souls are now one and the same. Which is why Inko has a slight boost to her quirk. Not even a slight, that's a pretty significant boost." She would say, "So where's Inko Midoriya?" "Our consciousness are one," she would say. "But in a way, I sort of took the wheel," she would say. "She's still in here. All her memories and all her knowledge, I have it all. I have her body. Damn, man, I'm so glad I got this body. But I'm still her. All her memories, her little love for Hasashi, her love for Izuku, it's all there. But I don't really give a fuck, because like, like, I don't care about that boy. Are you gonna continue to torture them? Or like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna just kill the boy or no? Why would I just kill him? That's boring. I want to have fun. But we cut back on over towards the USJ. With Deku getting up, his cuts are now healed. As All Might looks at him, check on the young Tsuyu. Deku rushes on over towards Tsuyu as he begins to check on her. He shakes her, makes sure that she's, alive. And he shakes her a little bit, a couple times. He then begins to heal her. Luckily, after Inko cut her freaking tongue out, Tsuyu passed out. Like, good, because if she didn't, she would have heard that whole conversation between Deku and Inko. And to put it simply, yeah, Deku did not want her to hear that, and he's glad she was unconscious as Inko said all that. But he's healing her, right? And Tsuyu proceeds to get up. Damn, she would think it hurt, it's so bad. Deku looks at her. He begins to hold her. It's okay, he would say. She then looks upward, where she sees All Might battling against the Nomu. Deku then proceeds to tell All Might, don't kill it! He would say, there's a person in there! He would yell, I can fix it! Deku would say. As this is said, Kurogiri and Shigaraki would look at each other. You can't do shit. Deku then rushes forward. As soon as he did, he would sprout wings from his back and he flies forward. Flying forward, he goes in for it and goes in and grabs the back of the Nomu's head. As soon as he did, he placed his other arm and he holds the back of its neck. Holding onto the Nomu's head and neck, Deku's eyes begin to glow a fearsome blue. And as soon as it happened, Deku then would say, protect me at all costs. This was said, All Might proceeds to turn. He notices that the Nomu isn't moving. He's like, why isn't it moving? Deku says, because it's a lot that's happening to its body right now. It can't move. As this begins to happen, Deku begins to search throughout the Nomu's entire body, begins to find all the correct cells. As it happens, Deku begins to do something he's positive he shouldn't be doing. He begins to absorb all the cells that did not originate from the Nomu's body. So all these cells that are coursing throughout the Nomu's body, he's absorbing it. He's absorbing them into his own body. By doing so, he's removing all cells that shouldn't be there, reactivating the dead cells. Okay, so the Nomu has a bunch of dead cells and a bunch of living cells that comes from the original body of whoever the Nomu was. Deku is absorbing all the cells that isn't meant to be there, and the cells that are dead, that are supposed to be there, he's reactivating them. He's waking them back up. He's absorbing all this power from the Nomu. The Nomu proceeds to start shaking. Shigaraki sees this, he proceeds to rush forward, Kurogiri creating portals. Shigaraki goes in to attack Deku, but he's suddenly hit by a wave of ice as soon as he comes through the portal. Todoroki has arrived. Todoroki and the rest of Class 1A proceed to rush in, with Shigaraki seeing what's happening, realizing that him and Kurogiri just aren't going to be enough here. He looks at Kurogiri and says, get me out of here. So Kurogiri proceeds to create a portal, him and Shigaraki will portal out of there. Class 1A looks onward, and everyone just looks as Deku's froze, like he's froze. The Nomu's froze, Deku's froze, and he stands there for a good 7 minutes, just froze. The class, they begin to worry. Tsuyu begins to worry about Deku. She starts walking forward, but as she begins to walk forward, the ground begins to crack, and the Nomu slowly begins to shrink. As it begins to shrink, they begin to see a humanoid form begin to appear. A person, they would think. As suddenly the Nomu would fall to the ground. As Deku suddenly begins to bulk up, he begins to grow a massive amount of muscle as Deku starts roaring. He begins to slowly turn into this bird-like creature, transforming into the Nomu itself. Deku begins to growl. He begins to scream, but he would scream. As suddenly Deku shrinks back downward, back into his humanoid form, where he himself would also pass out. The class seeing this, they were absolutely stunned at what Deku just did. Deku proceeds to wait, and they end up waiting on Deku to come back from the hospital. Class 1 ends up visiting Deku, and when they do, they ask Deku what did he do. He explained what was going on, explained that the creature had a whole bunch of cells in his body that just weren't meant to be there. He removed those cells, he said, and he looks onward. He removed those quirks, he would say, removing everything from the monster. They don't ask him why did he turn into it. Deku then looks forward because he absorbed them. This causes the class to go silent. You did what? He then says that he absorbed everything, even the quirk cells. He makes sure to return the person back to who they once were. The person was they didn't have anything incredible, they would say. The person just had a very weak enhancement quirk that really couldn't do much for them, they would say. It was so many other quirks mixed in, and even multiple other strength quirks combined on top of his own quirk. He took them all away. He didn't want that guy to suffer like that. And on top of that, the only thing he had that was just significant was his enhanced jumping power, which didn't really do much. He explains that he took all of it, but he explains that he's not gonna be able to do much in here. He looks at the class when he looks at Deku. They always smile, looking at him. They can do nothing more but smile. Like, they're so proud seeing Deku. Like, they're happy. Like, they really like Deku. The class began to like Deku more and more and more and more, and very quickly. Like, he's an amazing guy. As soon as everyone left the class, the lights in the room began to flicker, and poof, they cut off before cutting back on, as Inko was standing over Deku's bed. Hi there, Midoriya. Deku opens his eyes and he immediately screeches, but she grabs his neck. Shh. Don't do that. We don't want you to scream. Come on. Do we have to do things the hard way? I don't want to kill you, kid. But I will, she would say. I'll fucking kill you. I'll murder your bitch ass, Inko proceeds to say. And she has a creepy little smile just creep up her face. I'll fucking kill you, okay? I'll kill you dead, she says. Mwah. As she proceeds to kiss Deku on his forehead. Deku didn't want to say, who are you? And why did you do this? Inko laughs before she removes her mask. I'm your mother, sweetie. Silence. Silence filled the room. Deku looks at Inko, just stunned. What? He would say. What do you mean you're my mother? How are you my mother? I seen what you did to her. The videos, they're everywhere online. No one has ever taken them down. We seen what you did. There's no way you're my mother. Deku would say, the same mother that raised you, kid. Raised me? Wait, so you did this to yourself? He would say, so you did all of that on purpose. You put me through that hell on purpose. Inko looks at him. Of course I did, because I don't care for you. You're just his son. You're not my son. And you were quirkless, you were worthless. And you know, if you would have chose the right side of things, if you would have chose to join me, then I would have been the best mother you could have ever wanted. But your whole life, you was such a hero dick rider, she would say. It was pathetic. You wanted so bad to be like your daddy. I loved your dad. I'm not saying I loved your dad. I loved that deck. Okay? It's a little too much. And I got a little distracted having fun playing with him. I got off task. And I did what I had to do when I killed your father, she would say. But it's okay. You still have your mommy. Just join me, Izuku. Everything will be okay. I'll be the mother you always wanted. Deku looks at her. I'll never join you. Inko's face changed very quickly as she lifts up her hand and Deku's body begins to float into the air. Mind y'all, every time something like that happens, Inko can only do it to a living thing because, of course, she can only control small things, and the small things are what's in Izuku's body. So she lifted him up into the air, and then she proceeds to throw him out of the window. Deku's gonna be on the 8th floor just cause. As Deku begins to fall, Deku screams out for help. A hero just so happens to be downstairs. They jump upward and they grab onto Deku. Deku then explained, Terrible Twister was here, he would say. Terrible Twister. The one that killed Hasashi Midoriya? You know, I feel like Terrible Twister is just a garbage ass name. He yells, lady, I don't know. Please come up with a villain name for Inko, because I can't come up with one. So, yeah. But anyways, this is where we're going to be ending off part 2. Comment down below how you guys felt about this video. And yeah, like, it did so well that I just have to make this into a full-fledged series because, bro, it hit different for real. So that being said, guys, I'm out.